for a contract worth $300 million when a small
Don't
hand
sign,
tugged at his
Daddy.
sleeve and a voice
Please
whispered,
don't sign it.
"Daddy, don't sign that. My friend Mia lives there." He froze. The room went silent because the child who just called him Daddy wasn't his son. For months earlier, Marcus didn't know Leo existed. He didn't know anything existed except numbers, profit margins, and the view from his penthouse that cost more than most people would earn in 10 lifetimes. The apartment was silent. Always silent. 43 floors above the city, surrounded by marble and glass and furniture chosen by someone he paid to make decisions he didn't care about. Marcus Chin lived alone in a space designed for a family he'd never built. He was 34 years old. He looked older. Every morning, he woke at 5 a.m. to an alarm that sounded like a heartbeat monitor. He showered in a bathroom with heated floors. He dressed in suits that cost what his first car did. He drank coffee from a machine that required a manual thicker than most contracts. And he spoke to no one. His penthouse had 7 rooms. He used 2. The others collected dust and expensive silence. Elena Cruz arrived on a Tuesday morning in September, sent by an agency Marcus had emailed at 2 a.m. when he realized his previous housekeeper had quit 3 weeks prior, and he'd been stepping over the same dry cleaning for days. She was 27. She looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. She stood in his entryway holding the hand of a small boy with dark curls and wide brown eyes that studied everything like he was memorizing the world. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, her accent soft, her shoulders tight with the posture of someone used to making herself smaller. "The agency said they said it would be okay if I brought my son. Just for today. My babysitter is sick. It won't happen again." Marcus looked at the boy. The boy looked back. 3 years old, maybe, holding a worn stuffed rabbit that had clearly been loved past its expiration date. Marcus didn't care about children. He didn't dislike them. He simply existed in a world where they weren't relevant to quarterly projections or acquisition strategies. "Fine," he said. "I'll be in my office. Don't let him touch anything." He walked away. He didn't see Elena's shoulders drop with relief. He didn't see her whisper to her son in Spanish, soft and urgent. He didn't see the way Leo's eyes followed him down the hallway, curious and unafraid. For the first 2 weeks, Elena was invisible. She arrived at 7. She cleaned in silence. She left at 3, always with Leo's hand in hers, always with a quiet "good afternoon, Mr. Chin," that Marcus barely acknowledged. He didn't ask her name. He didn't ask about the boy. He worked 16-hour days and came home to a spotless apartment that somehow felt even emptier than before because now he knew someone had been there, moving through his space, existing in rooms he never entered, and then vanishing like a ghost who scrubbed countertops. But Leo was not invisible. Marcus would find small things. A crayon drawing left on the kitchen counter. A house, a tree, 3 stick figures holding hands. A toy car tucked beside the couch, forgotten. Once, he walked into his office and found the boy sitting on the floor near the window, staring out at the city with a kind of wonder Marcus couldn't remember ever feeling. Elena rushed in seconds later, breathless, apologetic. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Chin. Leo, come here now." "He's fine," Marcus said. He didn't know why he said it. Elena froze. Leo looked up at him with those wide brown eyes and smiled. It was the first smile Marcus had seen in his apartment and he couldn't remember how long. Something was shifting. Marcus didn't notice it at first. But Elena did. She noticed the way Mr. Chin stopped leaving for work before she arrived. She noticed how he'd started eating breakfast at the kitchen island instead of his office, sitting in silence while she prepared his coffee, while Leo colored at the far end of the counter, humming to himself. She noticed that Mr. Chin never told Leo to be quiet. One morning, Leo looked up from his drawing and said, "What's your name?" Elena's hands stilled on the dishcloth. Marcus looked at the boy. "Marcus," he said. "Marcus," Leo repeated, testing the word. Then he smiled. "I'm Leo." "I know. How do you know?" "I heard your mother say it." Leo tilted his head. "Do you have a mom?" Elena moved quickly. "Leo, that's not." "I did," Marcus said quietly. She died when I was young. The kitchen went still. Leo nodded slowly, seriously, like this was important information he needed to file away. My dad died too, he said. Before I was born. Elena's breath caught. Marcus looked at her. She was staring at the counter, her jaw tight, her eyes wet. I'm sorry, Marcus said. He didn't know if he was talking to Leo or to her. The weeks blurred together. Marcus stopped working from home on Wednesdays because that's when Elena brought Leo to the penthouse library and read to him in Spanish, her voice soft and musical in a way that made the apartment feel less like a mausoleum. He told himself he just liked the background noise. He didn't admit he'd started leaving his office door open so he could hear her. One afternoon, he found Leo standing in front of his floor-to-ceiling window, palms pressed to the glass. You can see everything from here, Leo whispered. Marcus walked over, stood beside him. Do you like it? Marcus asked. Leo shrugged. It's pretty, but it's really high. Does that scare you? A little. Leo looked up at him. Does it scare you? Marcus paused. No one had asked him a question like that in years. Sometimes, he admitted. Leo reached out and took his hand. Just like that. Small fingers curling around his. It's okay, Leo said. My mom says it's okay to be scared sometimes. Marcus looked down at the boy. Something in his chest cracked. Elena started staying later. Not because Marcus asked, but because he started coming home earlier and she noticed he didn't eat. And one evening she simply made extra rice and chicken and set a plate at the counter without asking if he wanted it. He ate it. She washed the dishes. Leo sat between them, coloring. It became a routine. No one named it. No one questioned it. But 3 nights a week, Marcus Chen, a man who owned restaurants he'd never eaten in and penthouses he'd never slept in, sat in his kitchen eating homemade food while a widow and her son filled his apartment with a kind of warmth he'd spent a decade building walls against. One night, Leo looked up from his drawing. Marcus. Yeah. Are you lonely? Elena's hands froze in the soapy water. Marcus stared at the boy. Leo, Elena said softly. That's not polite. Why do you ask that? Marcus interrupted. Leo shrugged. You're always by yourself. And your house is really big. My mom says big houses are for big families. I don't have a family, Marcus said. Why not? I just don't. Leo frowned, thinking hard. Then he slid off his chair, walked over, and climbed into Marcus's lap like it was the most natural thing in the world. Elena opened her mouth to stop him, but Marcus's arms came up slowly, carefully, and wrapped around the boy. Leo rested his head against Marcus's. You want? Marcus closed his eyes. His throat burned. He didn't trust himself to speak. The deal came together in October. Marcus's firm had been negotiating for 8 months to acquire a historic downtown neighborhood. 12 square blocks of old buildings, small businesses, families who'd lived there for generations. The plan was to demolish it all and build luxury high-rises. $300 million in projected profit. It was the biggest deal of Marcus's career. He didn't think about the people. He thought about the numbers. Until Leo started talking about Mia. Mia has a dog named Buster, Leo said one morning, unprompted, while Marcus drank his coffee. Who's Mia? Marcus asked. My friend. From the park. Her abuela makes the best churros. Elena smiled softly. Mia's family lives in the old neighborhood. We walk there sometimes after I finish work. Marcus nodded absently. He didn't make the connection. Not yet. It happened on a Thursday. The signing was scheduled for 2 p.m. Marcus's lawyers, the development partners, the investors, everyone gathered in the glass-walled boardroom on the 42nd floor. The contract sat on the table. 300 pages. Months of work. Marcus had read every word. He was ready. And then the door opened. His assistant looked panicked. Mr. Chen, I'm so sorry. She said it was an emergency. Elena rushed in, Leo in her arms, her face pale. I'm so sorry, she said, breathless. I didn't know where else. Leo's school called. He's sick. I have to take him to the doctor, but I didn't want to just leave without telling you. It's fine, Marcus said quickly. Go. Take care of him. Leo lifted his head from Elena's shoulder. His face was flushed, his eyes glassy with fever. But when he saw Marcus, he reached out. Daddy. The room went silent. Marcus froze. Elena's face drained of color. Leo, no, that's not. Daddy, I don't feel good, Leo whimpered. Marcus moved without thinking. He crossed the room, took Leo from Elena's arms, held him close. The boy wrapped his arms around Marcus's neck and buried his face in his shoulder. Marcus's hand came up to cradle the back of his head. You're okay, he murmured. You're going to be okay. Around the table, investors stared. His lawyers exchanged glances. Elena looked like she wanted to disappear. I'm so sorry, she whispered again. He's been calling you that at home. I've tried to correct him. I didn't think he'd. It's okay, Marcus said quietly. He looked at her. Really looked at her. At the exhaustion in her eyes. The worry. The weight she carried alone. Take my car, he said. Driver's downstairs. He'll take you to the pediatrician. Wait, bring you both home. Mr. Chen, I can't. Please. She hesitated, then nodded. Marcus handed Leo back to her carefully. The boy reached for him. Daddy, come with us. I can't right now, Marcus said softly, but I'll see you soon. I promise. Leo's lower lip trembled, but he nodded. Elena carried him out. The door closed. Marcus turned back to the table, cleared his throat. Gentlemen, let's proceed. He almost signed it. His hand was steady. The pen touched paper. And then he heard it again in his head. Daddy. He saw Leo's flushed face. Elena's tired eyes. He thought about the neighborhood. 12 blocks. Families. Small businesses. Mia's abuela, who made churros. He thought about profit margins and projected returns, and the fact that he'd spent 10 years building an empire that had bought him everything except a single reason to come home. And then he thought about the way Leo's hand felt in his. The way Elena's smile looked when he said something that surprised her. The way his apartment had started to feel less like a tomb and more like... He put the pen down. I need 24 hours, he said. The room erupted. Marcus, we've been over this. The investors are ready to walk. This deal is 24 hours, Marcus repeated, standing. Or I pull out entirely. He walked out. He didn't go back to his office. He went to the parking garage, got in his car, and drove to the address Elena had written down once for an emergency contact. A small apartment in a building that needed paint. He knocked. Elena opened the door, shock written across her face. Mr. Chen. Is he okay? He's sleeping. The doctor said it's just a virus. He'll be fine in a few days. I'm so sorry about earlier. Can I see him? She blinked. What? Can I see him? Marcus repeated quietly. Elena stepped aside. The apartment was small. Clean. Worn furniture, pictures on the walls, toys in a basket, the smell of something cooking on the stove. It felt like a home. Leo was asleep on the couch, covered with a thin blanket, his stuffed rabbit tucked under his arm. Marcus sat down carefully beside him, reached out, brushed the hair back from his forehead. The boy stirred, blinked up at him. Daddy. Yeah, Marcus whispered. I'm here. Leo smiled sleepily, then closed his eyes again. Marcus looked up at Elena. She was standing in the doorway, one hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I've tried to stop him from calling you that. I know it's not appropriate. I know you're not. What if I want to be? She froze. What? Marcus stood slowly. What if I want to be? He repeated. Mr. Chen. Marcus. Please. Just Marcus. She stared at him. I don't understand, she whispered. I've spent 10 years building a life that doesn't mean anything, Marcus said quietly. I've made money, bought things, closed deals, and none of it mattered. None of it made me feel anything. Until you and Leo walked into my apartment and reminded me what it feels like to be human. We're not. We're just. You're not just anything, Marcus said. You're the reason I started coming home. You're the reason my apartment doesn't feel empty anymore. You're the reason I've started to remember what it's like to care about something other than profit. Elena shook her head. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. You're my employer. I don't want to be your employer. Silence. Then what do you want? She whispered. Marcus looked at Leo, then back at her. I want this, he said simply. I want to come home to the sound of his laughter. I want to eat your cooking. I want to watch him grow up. I want to be the person he thinks I am when he calls me daddy. Marcus. I'm not asking you to love me, he said quickly. I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give. I'm just asking, let me be part of this. Let me help. Let me be here. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Why? She whispered. Because for the first time in my life, I want to be. The next morning, Marcus walked into his boardroom. Everyone was waiting. The contract sat on the table and signed. Gentlemen, he said, I'm restructuring the deal. Chaos. Marcus, you can't. We've already committed. He held up a hand. We're relocating the development. There's a site 40 minutes north. Undeveloped land. No displacement necessary. We'll build there. I've already contacted the sellers. They're interested. That'll cost us 6 months. Then it costs us 6 months. Marcus. This conversation is over, he said quietly. We relocate or I walk. He turned and left. That evening, he showed up at Elena's apartment with takeout and a new stuffed rabbit for Leo because the old one was falling apart. Leo threw his arms around Marcus's legs and didn't let go for 5 minutes. Elena cried again, but this time she smiled. 3 months later, Marcus's penthouse looked different. There were toys in the living room, drawings on the refrigerator, a small bed in the guest room that wasn't a guest room anymore. Leo called it my room at Daddy's house. Elena still worked, but not as Marcus's housekeeper. She managed the community outreach for his company's new development project. She was good at it. She belonged in boardrooms just as much as she belonged in kitchens. And slowly, carefully, like two people learning to trust something fragile and new, Marcus and Elena built something that looked like family. Not perfect, not easy, but real. One night, Marcus came home to find Leo asleep on the couch and Elena folding laundry in the living room. He sat down beside her. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For letting me stay. She looked at him, smiled. Thank you for coming home. He reached out, took her hand. She didn't pull away. They sat like that for a long time. Two broken people who'd found each other in the silence. And a little boy who'd taught them both what it meant to love without fear. If stories like this matter to you, stories about the families we choose, the people who change us when we least expect it, then maybe this is a place you'll want to come back to. Because some stories don't just entertain. Some stories remind us what it means to be human. Marcus Chen had spent his whole life chasing success. But it wasn't until a 3-year-old boy called him Daddy that he realized what he'd really been searching for. A reason to come home. A reason to stay. A reason to believe that even the loneliest people deserve to be loved. And in the end, that was worth